Have you ever stopped and wondered who you are becoming? Not who you want to become, who you used to be, or who other people expect you to be, but who you are becoming through the choices you make every day. Think about that, because whether you realize it or not, every decision is shaping an identity. Every habit is casting a vote, and action is creating evidence. Evidence of the person you are becoming. And that matters because your future is not determined by what you occasionally do. It is determined by what you repeatedly become. Most people focus on changing their circumstances. They want a better job, relationship, income, and opportunity. But what if the real question is not, how do I change my life? What if the real question is, who must I become to create the life I want? Because lasting transformation is never just about changing outcomes. It is about changing identity, and until identity changes, results rarely stay changed for long. This is where many people struggle. They want a different future while remaining attached to the habits, beliefs, and behaviors that created their current reality. They want confidence without courage, success without sacrifice, growth without discomfort, and discipline without effort. But life does not work that way. The person who achieves different results is usually the person who adopted different behaviors. And different behaviors require a different mindset. Yet many people spend years fighting symptoms instead of addressing the source. They focus on what is happening around them while ignoring what is happening within them. They blame circumstances, timing, other people, and bad luck. Meanwhile, the real battle remains untouched. The battle of identity, because every day your actions are answering an important question: who am I? When you repeatedly procrastinate, your mind begins to believe procrastination is part of your identity. When you repeatedly quit, your mind begins to associate quitting with who you are. When you repeatedly avoid responsibility, responsibility begins to feel foreign. Not because those things are true, but because repeated behavior creates familiar patterns. And familiar patterns become beliefs. The danger is that many people allow temporary failures to become permanent identities. They fail once and call themselves a failure, struggle once and call themselves weak, make mistakes and decide they are incapable. But one action does not define a person. One bad day does not define a person. One setback does not define a future. The problem is not failure. It is accepting a false identity because of failure. A person can fail and still become successful, fall and still rise, struggle and still grow stronger. But growth becomes difficult when someone starts believing the wrong story about themselves. Because every person lives according to the story they believe. If you believe you are incapable, you will hesitate. If you believe change is impossible, you will stop trying. If you believe your past defines your future, you will carry limitations that were never meant to remain. And sadly, many people spend years imprisoned by stories they never questioned. Stories created by fear, criticism, disappointment, and painful experiences. But just because a story is familiar does not mean it is true. And sometimes the most important breakthrough in life happens when you challenge the identity that has been limiting you. The first step toward transformation is becoming aware of the stories you tell yourself. Pay attention to your internal conversations, labels you place on yourself, and beliefs that quietly influence your decisions. Because many limitations exist long before reality ever confirms them. They exist in the mind. And what exists in the mind often influences what becomes possible in life. That is why self-awareness is powerful. You cannot change what you refuse to recognize. Once you become aware, you gain the ability to choose differently. You can choose a better belief, stronger response, and new direction. And those choices begin creating new evidence. That evidence matters because identity is built through proof. If you want to become disciplined, start collecting evidence of discipline. Keep one promise to yourself, then keep another, and another. If you want to become confident, start collecting evidence of courage. Do the difficult thing, speak up, act, and face discomfort. Every small victory becomes proof, and proof changes belief. Most people wait until they feel different before acting differently. But transformation usually works in reverse. You act differently first, then you begin believing differently. The person who becomes healthy does not wait until they feel healthy before exercising. The person who becomes disciplined does not wait until they feel disciplined before acting. The person who becomes confident does not wait until confidence magically appears. They act first, and confidence follows evidence. This is why consistency matters so much, because every repeated action strengthens identity. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce a new story. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you reinforce a new story. Every time you choose courage over fear, you reinforce a new story. Eventually, those actions stop feeling forced. They begin feeling natural. Not because life has become easier, but because your identity has become stronger. The goal is not perfection, it is alignment. Aligning your daily actions with the person you want to become. One decision, habit, and day at a time. That process may seem slow, but slow progress is still progress. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Yet every day it grows. And one day, what was invisible becomes undeniable. Human growth often follows the same pattern. The transformation happening inside you may not be visible immediately, but that does not mean it is not happening. Keep going, building, and becoming, because every intentional action is shaping a future version of yourself. The truth is this: you are always becoming someone, even right now, in this moment. The question is not whether you are changing. The question is whether you are changing intentionally. Every habit is shaping identity, character, and destiny. You are not merely creating results. You are creating yourself, and that may be the most important responsibility you will ever have. Because long after achievements fade, identity remains. Long after circumstances change, character remains. Long after success arrives, the person you became is what truly matters. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Imagine meeting the future version of yourself, the stronger, wiser, disciplined, and confident version. What would that person thank you for today? Would they thank you for your excuses, procrastination, or fear? Probably not. They would thank you for the difficult choices, the disciplined mornings, the uncomfortable growth, the moments when you refused to quit and choose purpose over convenience, the moments when you kept going despite uncertainty, because those moments are creating them. The future version of you is being built right now, not someday, next year, or when conditions improve. Right now, through today's habits, mindset, and decisions. So, stop asking whether change is possible. Start by asking whether you are willing to become the person capable of creating it, because your future does not need a perfect version of you. It needs a committed, consistent, disciplined, and growing version of you. And if you continue showing up, learning, improving, and moving forward, one day you will look back and realize something remarkable. The life you wanted was built. It was built through thousands of ordinary decisions, thousands of moments when you choose growth over comfort, discipline over excuses, purpose over distraction, and little by little, those choices transformed you. Because the greatest project you will ever work on is not your career, not your finances or reputation. It is the person you are becoming. Protect, honor, and commit to the process. Because when you become the right person, the right future becomes possible, and that is how extraordinary lives are truly built.